I literally just drove 32 miles just so I could make this video, and I am currently at 333,333 miles.
Jack it up.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the channel. My car has just hit a very exciting and special milestone. I know that there's other cars out there that have a lot more than this, but my car just hit 1/3 of a million miles, and I've been waiting for this for quite a while. Super duper excited about it. But before I get to that, I want to give you a little bit of history on the vehicles that I have owned. Whenever I turned 16 in 2005, a very good friend of mine had a 1997 Dodge Neon with 11,000 miles on it, and he gave it to me for $1,000, which is a steal. Anyone that knows anything about vehicles would agree with that. They used it to tow behind their camper, only had it for a few years, didn't put any miles on it, and sold it for a good deal. Loved that car to death. It was a brownish color. I called it cinnamon brown sugar. That's what it looked like. And I personally put 101,000 miles on it because whenever it reached, it was 113,000 miles, I was coming around a turn, and it was in the middle of winter. It was January 9th, actually. There was a big snow drift that came across the road, and I did not know about it until I made the turn. And I was doing 50 miles an hour. Car hit the snow, turned sideways, went right into a telephone pole. I was devastated. I was so mad. Car was totaled. The only thing, I mean, the fenders could have been replaced, but the frame actually broke. I know it's a Neon, so they're not, you know, top quality. But I was getting like 42 miles per gallon out of that thing. Loved it. Thought it was an amazing car. It was a 5-speed manual. Every car I've ever owned have always been manual cars. I don't drive automatics except for my wife's SUV. But after that happened, I bought a 2005 Dodge Neon Black 5-speed manual, and it was a lemon. I mean, I was constantly putting money and stuff into it. The fuel economy was like the best I would get, like going to Florida and back, was 32 miles per gallon, which, I mean, I was used to 42, so, you know, 28, 30 miles per gallon is really bad. So I had that for a very short time, and the couple years previous to that, though, I had been wanting to buy a Volkswagen Jetta TDI because my best friend's parents had one, and they loved it. It was a great car. It was nice and sturdy, like as far as like the way it rode and stuff. But the Neon isn't real sturdy, kind of like driving a boat. But the Jettas are well made, and I searched for these things for quite a while, probably 2 years. Could never find one for a decent price because everyone that has them wants to keep them, and anyone who does sell them wants a good price for them because they're well worth it. Well, October of 2012, I did find one at a place called Wessel's in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, and it had exactly 199,000 miles on it, and they were asking $6,900 for it. Well, actually $6,995, so that's $7,000. And most people are like, $7,000 for a car that has 200,000 miles? Are you crazy? But as anyone watching this video might know, these cars are worth that at that many miles because sometimes they'll go 400,000 plus miles. I know somebody has 435 on theirs, so it's definitely worth the money. So, with saying that, here is my 2001 Volkswagen Jetta. As you can see, she is definitely not a beauty, but she's my baby, and I absolutely love it. Right now, I currently have winter tires on here because ever since I drove through that snowdrift, driving in snow scares me to death, so I no longer use all season. I use winter tires and summer tires whenever, of course, winter's over. You're probably wondering what this mark right here came from. Well, let me tell you what it came from. I was literally driving to work one day, and it was 4:30 in the morning, and I see this buck. It was about a 6-point deer, jumps over this hill and stops right smack dab in the middle of the road, and just looks at me, and I'm like, okay. So I'm completely stopped. The deer's completely stopped. The deer literally puts his head down and charges after my car, and his antler hits right here, as you can see. And when he hit the car, he actually fell to the ground, and he got back up and then limped away. But that is a true story. I could not believe that when it actually happened. The headlights on this have been replaced. I was gonna do the whole restore kit and clean them, but Amazon had a really good deal. I think I paid like $58 for the set. I'll put a picture right up here of what it actually looked like before and after. So the other day, I'm driving down the road and my my driver's side mirror literally just falls out. I'm looking in the mirror, using it on the interstate, and the mirror just completely just falls out. And it was weird because like the words objects in the mirror closer than they appear was actually, I did not know this, maybe I should have known this for being a car guy, but they're not actually on the mirror, they were actually behind the actual mirrored part of the glass. So I did not know that. I learned something new that day. You're probably wondering what this dent is from. That is going to come in a later video. You might find it pretty darn funny. So fuel economy, you're probably wondering what kind of fuel economy I get. Well, fuel economy on this car, the best I've ever gotten is I actually use this app. It's called Fuely. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. Excuse me. But the best I ever got was 54.3 miles per gallon. From the first time I bought this car, I always wanted to try and get to 900 miles on one tank. And I did that. My wife and I drove to Jacksonville, Florida. We live in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania. We got fuel in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, and drove all the way to Jacksonville, Florida on one tank of fuel, and blew my mind. Now, it was crazy because when I had my Neon, I would literally get to south of the border and I'd have to fill up. But my average price per mile is 0.06 cents, which is really good in case you're wondering. I've gotten a total of 185 tanks of fuel on this car. I actually log every single one on the app and in my notepad on my phone. And I have some cool stats here. Whenever I first bought this car, I wanted to compare it to my Neon that I had because of how bad the fuel economy was. So I did the math on that. And after my very first year having my Jetta, I had 28,000 miles, and it was $2,228, and it was 38 fill-ups. The previous year with my Neon, now keep in mind, I just said I had 38 fill-ups, and it was 2,228 miles. The previous year when I had my Neon, I had 81 fill-ups, so 38 to 81, or 81 to 38, and $3,353.40. So with buying the Jetta, people say, oh, diesel's more expensive, it's not worth it. Well, when I bought the Jetta, the next year I saved $1,125 in fuel. In my opinion, it was well worth it. You tell me what you think. So let's take a look on the inside of this car and see if it looks like it has 1/3 miles on it. So you hop in the car here and we can see that there is exactly 333,333 miles. Currently 260 miles on this trip, and as you can see my fuel gauge, once it loads up here. So with 260 miles on the tank, I'm still not even quite to the quarter mark. Now, this car definitely does, it uses a lot less fuel on the first half. Then once the second half gets here, it kind of goes down real fast. But a lot of older cars are known for that. Newer cars, of course, you know, technology and stuff, that gets better. But yeah. I do have an airbag light on this car. I have seen that it is a known issue, and that sometimes it's a really cheap fix. Mine is actually the sensor within the seatbelt, but I heard that it's pretty expensive to replace, and I don't want to put much money into this thing because I mean, it's possible this car could be on its last leg, and I really don't want to put money into it because I just don't. Check engine lights on because of this thing right here. But I'm not going to tell you what that is. You're going to have to check that out in another video coming. Yes, it's redneck and don't make fun, but it is awesome, and it has definitely been a huge improvement for my car. Still got the stock radio, still got the stock speakers. The speakers sound like absolute crap, but once again, I'm not putting money into it because I just don't want to. It is a 5-speed manual, and I had to replace my what do you call it, the turn signal thing here, because it started doing this really weird thing. I would just drive down the road, and all of a sudden it would just start going click, 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 like really fast, like my turn signal was on, but the turn signal wasn't on. So after a few weeks of that, and got really annoying, I decided to fix that. It was a fairly cheap fix. My my headliner, as you can see right there, it has definitely not lasted as long as I would have liked to have seen it last. What the hole is for is I bought some, sorry I keep adjusting my glasses. They fell off my car this morning and now they're not quite fitting right, and it's kind of annoying. But I actually put that slice up there on my headliner and put some spray glue up there to try to put it back up in. Did it, worked perfectly. Everything was up tight, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. I came out to my car an hour later and it was completely down. I was pretty upset. But that's another thing I'm not putting money into because I don't want to. And plus, this is my daily driver. It's a beater car. It's got a lot of miles on it. I'm not putting any money into it because I know that it's not going to last me forever. And at this point, it's definitely on a downhill slope. But this car has definitely been extremely epic to drive. I love it. It handles light years better than my Neons did. Round turns doesn't like feel like a boat going around turns and stuff. It's very it's tight to the road. This car has been to Florida 4 different times. Never had any problems, knock on wood, knock on metal. It's been to Maine once. It's been to Chicago. It's definitely been around. And it still handles great. I've definitely replaced a lot of parts on this car. I've replaced the shocks, the struts, the lower control arms, the CV axles, the tie rods, tie rod ends, all that stuff. My antenna, this thing right here, actually broke off one time. It snapped off right here and was just flopping. Well, the one day I'm going down the interstate and it just literally blows off. So I had to replace that. That was a really cheap fix, of course, but I did replace that. And as far as the engine goes, though, I have literally done nothing to it except for, of course, your glow plugs and harness. That stuff needs replaced every once in a while. The timing belt's been done, the water pump. The alternator just went out about 6 to 8 months ago. I'm going down the road in town and I take off at a stop sign and it goes, ah! And I'm like, what the heck? I had no idea what it was. So I pulled over, and because I didn't know what it was, I had AAA tow me for free, which was nice. But it ended up being the alternator. They replaced that, no problem. Besides from that, everything else in this car runs very well. And I don't know if you've ever heard of liquid moly or liquid moly. I forget how, I'm not exactly sure how to say it. It's a German product. It's made for, they call it a medicine for sick diesels. I don't think my diesel is sick, but the injectors are old. They're probably the original because I've never replaced them. But I'm going to be doing that treatment here coming up when it gets a little warmer outside. Tomorrow is the first day of spring. And right now it is about 34 degrees and they're calling for about 5 inches of snow tomorrow. And I love winter, so I am very much hoping we get it. Please, give me some snow. I've been wanting snow for so freaking long and all we get's like a dusting to an inch all the time and I'm sick of it. I'm quite sick of it, I'll be honest. So, as I said, my car now has 333,333 miles on it. It has 1/3 of a million miles. I am super duper excited. Oh, by the way, these dice right here, my sister made me these dice. They're black and yellow because I'm a Steelers fan. But she made me those dice back whenever I was 16 years old, and they've been in all 3 of my cars since I've owned them, which they're really special to me because my sister and I are extremely close. But my goal, I would love to see this car get to 500,000 miles. I don't know anybody who has a Jetta with the original engine and transmission that has over 500,000 miles on it. So that's my goal. A guy I work with does have a Jetta just like mine, except this is a year newer. He bought his brand spanking new in 2002, which I'm so jealous of. But he right now has 352,000 miles on his, which is more than mine. But he drives 100 miles to work each day, whereas I only drive 60. So obviously his adds up a lot faster than mine. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please subscribe if you would like to. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you guys have a Jetta diesel and want to tell me how many miles you guys have, I would love to hear your stories. Tell me about it, send me a picture, whatever. My Instagram is down below in the description. Take care, and see you later. Bye. All right, when I pulled in this parking lot, I was extremely scared that I was gonna go over 333,333 miles. and then I would have to make the video with a 4 at the end, and I was devastated if I had to do that. So I want to see how far I actually drive here now before it actually goes over, because I know it's not going to take too long. Let's see how long it takes. Wow, I literally was a half a mile. I didn't think I had quite that far to go, but yeah, that's crazy. As the weather forecast predicted, it freaking snowed, everybody. Freaking snowed. Came at my freaking door. Yeah, baby. Second day of spring and we got snow.